Han Ji-woon's hand slammed against the wall beside Monica's head, his chest heaving with barely controlled rage and something far more dangerous, his other hand gripping her chin firmly as his mouth hovered inches from hers, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his skin. "You think you can play these games with me?" His voice was raw, broken, nothing like the controlled Mafia Lord Soul's underworld feared. "Walking around my penthouse in those outfits, saying my name in your sleep, standing too close at every opportunity like you don't know what you're doing to me?" Monica's eyes blazed with defiance even as her pulse raced under his intense gaze. "I thought the great Han Ji-woon had perfect control, and I thought you'd rather die than touch your contract wife." His grip on her chin tightened slightly, and she gasped. Not from pain but from the electric current that shot through her body at the proximity. "I should hate you," he growled, his mouth so close she could feel his breath. I do hate you." "Then why are you shaking?" She arched against him deliberately, feeling the tension coiled in every muscle of his body, watching his control shatter further. "Why do you watch me when you think I'm sleeping? And why do you spend so long in those cold showers after I walk by?" He crashed his mouth against hers, swallowing her words in a kiss that was all teeth and desperation and 3 months of suppressed hunger. His hand moving from her chin to her hair, yanking her head back to claim her mouth properly while his other hand gripped her waist to pull her impossibly closer. When he finally tore his mouth away, they were both gasping for air. "This is what you wanted, isn't it?" His voice was wrecked. "To break me? To prove I'm just another man who can't resist you?" She laughed, breathy and dark. "No, Ji-woon.
I wanted to prove that you're a liar.
I wanted to prove that you're a liar. That every time you said you didn't want me, every time you walked away, every cold morning after we almost crossed a line." Her hand pressed flat against his chest, feeling his racing heart. "You were lying to yourself." Hello, loves. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad to interact with you all after the long break I had. If you're already hooked, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because the story only gets darker from here. Want to know how Seoul's most dangerous man ended up humbled by a woman he swore he'd never touch? Let me rewind 3 months and show you how Monica Adeyemi brought the devil of Gangnam to his knees. 3 months earlier, the merger meeting that would change everything took place in neutral territory. A private room at Seoul's most exclusive hotel, where Monica sat across from Han Ji-woon for the first time, studying the man she'd been contracted to marry with calculating eyes. He was devastating in person, and the photos hadn't captured the lethal grace in how he moved, the way his tailored suit emphasized a body clearly honed for violence, or how his dark eyes could strip someone bare without showing a flicker of emotion. Every line of him screamed danger, control, and a complete absence of warmth. "Miss Adeyemi," he said, not bothering with pleasantries. "Let's be clear about what this is, because your family needs protection from the Yakuza and my organization needs your father's Southeast Asian routes. This marriage is a business transaction, nothing more." Monica leaned back in her chair, studying him with an intensity that matched his own. How romantic.
How romantic.
"And do you practice that speech in the mirror?" His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "I don't do romance." Clearly, she stood, moving around the table with deliberate slowness. But if we're going to convince the other families this is real, you'll need to at least pretend you can stand being near me. "I won't be touching you unnecessarily." His voice was flat, final. "We'll share a residence for appearances. You'll attend required events. But this marriage will remain purely professional, and I have no interest in changing that arrangement." Monica stopped directly in front of him, close enough to smell his cologne. Something dark and expensive that made her pulse quicken. You assume a lot, Mr. Han. It's not an assumption. It's a requirement." He stood, towering over her 5'7" frame. "I don't mix business with pleasure, ever." "What if I do?" Something flickered in his eyes. Annoyance, maybe surprise, maybe something else entirely. Then you'll be disappointed, because I'd rather die than compromise my control for temporary satisfaction. Monica smiled, slow and dangerous. We'll see about that. We won't. He buttoned his jacket with precise movements. The wedding is in 3 days, white dress, traditional ceremony. No kiss at the altar. After that, you follow my rules in my house or the deal is off. Your house, your rules. She stepped closer, watching him tense despite his best efforts to appear unaffected. But you should know something about Nigerian women, Mr. Han, and that's that we don't follow rules we didn't help make. You'll follow mine. She laughed, rich and mocking. Oh, this is going to be fun. The wedding was a masterpiece of cold efficiency, with 500 guests from various crime families, a bride in a stunning white gown that emphasized every curve, and a groom who looked like he was attending a funeral rather than his own nuptials. You may kiss the bride, the officiant announced with a practiced smile. Ji-woon turned to the crowd instead, his expression carved from stone. As you all know, this is an arrangement for our mutual benefit, and my wife and I have agreed to maintain professional boundaries. There will be no kiss. The guests murmured, shocked by the public rejection, and Monica kept smiling for the cameras. But inside, something sharp and angry took root in her chest. He hadn't just refused to touch her. He'd humiliated her in front of everyone who mattered. However, she said, her voice carrying clearly over the whispers, I haven't agreed to anything. She grabbed his tie, yanked him down, and pressed her lips to his cheek, leaving a perfect red lipstick print for all to see. Consider that a promise, husband. The crowd laughed nervously, not quite sure what they'd witnessed. Ji-woon's expression could have frozen hell itself. In the limo to his penthouse, he sat as far from her as physically possible, the leather seat between them feeling like a chasm. That was unnecessary. That was necessary to save face. Unless you wanted everyone thinking you married a woman you find repulsive? I don't find you repulsive, he said carefully. Just untouchable? Monica asked, raising an eyebrow. By choice, he replied. Your choice. She crossed her legs slowly, watching his jaw tighten even as his eyes remained fixed on her face. Tell me, Ji-woon, when was the last time you actually let yourself feel something? His knuckles whitened as he gripped his knee. That's none of your business. Monica smiled, enjoying the way his composure cracked just slightly. It is if I'm expected to live like a stranger in my own home for the duration of this arrangement. Ji-woon cleared his throat, obviously not expecting her to be so direct. You're free to live your life, just not in a way that complicates ours. With other men? Monica asked pointedly. The word came out sharp enough to cut. No. Ah. She smiled knowingly. So you don't want me? But no one else can have me either? That seems rather selfish, don't you think? The contract specifies fidelity for both of us, Ji-woon stated, his voice carrying that dangerous edge that made lesser men cower. Monica tilted her head, studying him like a puzzle she was determined to solve. How convenient that the man who doesn't do feelings insists on monogamy. It's about reputation, he said tersely, his fingers drumming once against his thigh, the only sign of his agitation. It's about control. She leaned toward him slightly, close enough that her perfume, something dark and intoxicating, filled the space between them. You're a control freak, aren't you? Every minute planned, every action calculated, every emotion locked away behind those walls. Tell me, what happens when you lose control? I don't, he said flatly, but his voice had dropped an octave. Everyone does eventually, Monica murmured, watching the muscle in his jaw tick. We all break sometime. Not me. We'll see, she said softly, a promise and a threat wrapped in 3 simple words. Ji-woon's hands clenched into fists. This conversation is over. Is it? Monica laughed, low and knowing. We haven't even discussed the sleeping arrangements, and I'm curious how you're going to maintain all that control knowing I'm just down the hall. You'll conduct yourself appropriately in shared spaces, he ground out. Define appropriately, she challenged. Because what's appropriate for a wife in her own home might be very different from what you're imagining. His breathing had changed deeper, more controlled, like he was forcing each breath through sheer willpower. Modest. Modest by whose standards? She gestured to her modest travel outfit. This? More? Less? You'll have to be very specific with your rules, husband. I'd hate to accidentally break them. You know exactly what you're doing, he accused, his voice rough. Do I? Monica settled back in her seat with a satisfied smile. I'm simply trying to understand my boundaries. The boundary is simple. Stay in your lane, and we'll both survive this arrangement. Survival sounds boring. She tilted her head, studying him. You look tense, Ji-woon. Is something wrong? His jaw clenched so tight she worried he'd crack a tooth. Nothing is wrong. Your pulse is racing. I can see it right here. She pointed at his neck without touching. That's not control, Ji-woon. That's barely contained chaos. Get back on your side, he ordered, though she hadn't moved closer. Make me, she breathed, and felt him shudder despite the distance between them. His hand shot out, gripping the seat between them. Don't play games you can't win. Who says I can't win? Monica turned away to look out the window. Your hands are shaking. He released the seat like it had burned him. This is exactly why we need boundaries. Or maybe, she said, glancing back at him. This is exactly why boundaries won't work. You can make all the rules you want, but your body doesn't follow rules. Does it? My body does what I tell it to, he said firmly. Monica smiled, predatory and knowing. Really? So if I move like this, she simply shifted in her seat, adjusting her posture. You wouldn't react at all. His knuckles went white where he gripped his knee. Stop. Stop what? I'm not touching you, and I'm not breaking any rules. She tilted her head back, exposing the long line of her throat with a satisfied sigh. Unless simply existing near you is against the rules too? You're being ridiculous, he bit out. I'm being realistic, she countered. We're going to be living together, sharing spaces, attending events. You can't control every moment, every interaction. Watch me. Oh, I will, Monica promised, her voice dropping to a whisper. I'll watch you fight yourself every single day. Watch you clench those fists when I walk by. Watch you hold your breath when we have to stand close for photos. Watch you take those long, cold showers when you think no one notices. Enough, he growled. I'll know every time your control slips, she continued relentlessly. Every time you imagine what it would be like to break your own rules. I said enough. And when you finally break, because you will break, I'll be waiting. She smiled sweetly. After all, a good wife should always be available to support her husband. The limo pulled to a stop, saving Ji-woon from responding. But as Monica stepped out, she heard him muttering what sounded like a prayer for strength. She smiled to herself as the cool night air hit her face. 3 months she gave him. 3 months before the great Han Ji-woon begged her to break every rule he'd made. She couldn't wait. The penthouse was exactly what she'd expected. Black marble, chrome fixtures, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. Beautiful, cold, and utterly impersonal, just like its owner. Your room is down the hall, Ji-woon said, setting her bags down with mechanical precision. The master is mine. The rest of the space is shared, but I expect you to respect my privacy. Naturally, she walked to the windows, taking her time. Any other rules I should know about? No overnight guests, no loud music after 10, no rearranging my things. No entering my office or bedroom without permission. No fun, no warmth, no humanity. Got it. This isn't a joke. She turned, backlit by the city lights like a vision. No, it's a tragedy. A beautiful man and a beautiful woman, married, living together, and not allowed to actually connect. Shakespeare would weep. Shakespeare would understand that some boundaries shouldn't be crossed. Shakespeare wrote about passion destroying everything in its path. She moved toward him slowly. Is that what you're afraid of? That if you let your guard down once, you won't be able to put it back up? He was already at his bedroom door.
Good night,
Monica.
Sweet
dreams, husband. The door closed with a decisive click. Monica smiled to herself in the darkness. He'd practically run away rather than stand too close to her for another moment. This was definitely going to be fun. The first week was a careful dance of avoidance, with Ji-woon leaving before she woke and returning after she retreated to her room. They communicated through terse texts about schedules and appearances, and it might have continued indefinitely if Monica hadn't decided to test his boundaries. Started small. She began taking her morning coffee in the kitchen wearing silk robes and loungewear that was perfectly appropriate but undeniably feminine. The first time Ji-woon walked in on her like that, he turned around and walked right back out without a word. Running away? She called after him, amusement dripping from her voice. Getting things from my office. He shot back from the hallway. His tone clipped. If you say so, Monica replied, sipping her coffee with a satisfied smile. She appeared in his doorway moments later, making him look up from his laptop. His eyes darkened immediately before he forced them back to the screen. Can I help you with something? Just being friendly, she countered, leaning against his doorframe. We do live together, after all. We coexist, he corrected. There's a difference. Is there? Monica stepped into his office, each movement graceful. Because coexisting sounds lonely. Ji-woon's fingers stilled on the keyboard. You know exactly what you're doing. Existing in my own home? She asked innocently, settling into the chair across from his desk. I didn't realize that was such a crime. Being in my office uninvited is against the rules, he pointed out. So kick me out. She crossed her legs, settling in comfortably. Or is that harder than it should be? His eyes followed the movement before he caught himself. Monica, I'm warning you. Warning me about what? She tilted her head, studying him. What exactly are you going to do? You won't touch me, remember? You made that very clear. I don't need to touch you to make you leave, he said dangerously. No? Then how? She remained perfectly still, utterly relaxed in her chair. You look flushed, Ji-woon. Are you getting sick? Or is it something else? He stood abruptly, the chair rolling back. This conversation is over. What conversation? Monica remained seated as he moved toward her. I'm just sitting here. He was close now, looming over her, and she could smell his cologne, see the muscle ticking in his jaw. This is manipulation. This is me having coffee and making conversation, she corrected, rising to face him. Your reaction is your own problem. My reaction. He cut himself off, breathing hard. Yes?
What about your reaction?
What about your reaction? Monica stood slowly, the movement bringing her within inches of him. The way your breathing changes when I'm near? The way your jaw clenches? The way you're fighting so hard to maintain that perfect control. Stop, he commanded. But he didn't step back. Stop what? She moved closer, until she could feel the heat radiating from his body. Stop noticing how affected you are? Stop enjoying watching you struggle? His hands clenched at his sides. You're playing a dangerous game. Am I playing? Monica whispered. Or are you just losing? I don't lose, he snarled. Then why are you backing away?
Then why are you backing away?
She asked as he took a step back. I'm not backing away. I'm maintaining appropriate distance. Appropriate? She laughed, the sound dark and rich. There's that word again. Tell me, Ji-woon, what's appropriate about the way you're looking at me right now? Like you can't decide if you want to throw me out or... Don't, he warned, his voice deadly quiet. Or keep me close? She finished, watching his control crack further. Is that what you think about during those long hours in your office? What it would be like to actually talk to me? To know me? Get out! He ground out, turning away from her. Can't handle it? Monica taunted, moving to block his path. The big, bad Mafia lord can't handle one woman asking questions? You're not just a woman, he said before he could stop himself. No? What am I then? She stood her ground, unmoving. You're a complication, he breathed, his eyes conflicted. You're a problem I didn't anticipate. And you're a liar, she shot back. Every word about not caring, every protest, every rule, all defenses. The rules keep us safe, he insisted, but his voice was weakening. Safe from what? Monica demanded. From connection? From feeling something real? Nothing between us can be real. We are real, she said with absolute certainty. You can fight it, make all the rules you want, but eventually you're going to admit that. And if I do? His voice was dangerous now. What then? You think you can handle what that would mean? Monica's breath caught, but she didn't back down. I think I'm the only one who could. They stood frozen, breathing hard, the air between them electric with tension. 3 months, Ji-woon finally said, his voice wrecked. We only have to last 3 months. You won't last 3 weeks, Monica countered, backing toward the door. Not with me here every morning. Not with me challenging you every chance I get. Monica, sleep well, husband, she said, leaving him standing there, frustrated and conflicted and already wondering how he'd survive this marriage. The next morning, she made herself even more at home, settling into the kitchen like she owned the place. Ji-woon made coffee with his back to her the entire time. This is ridiculous, she said. We're married. You're allowed to look at me. I'm choosing not to. Why? Because looking leads to acknowledging, and I don't need to acknowledge you. Liar. He turned then, eyes blazing. What did you call me? A liar. She moved closer, watching him tense. Your jaw clenches when I stretch. Your breathing changes when I walk past. You spend hours in your office after seeing me in the morning. Tell me that's not affected. It's irritation. Nothing more. Irritation is something. She was close enough to feel his heat now. We're all just people pretending to be unaffected. And you, Han Ji-woon, are very much affected under that expensive suit. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? She reached up, not quite touching his chest. Your heart is racing right now. Your pupils are dilated. You're breathing through your mouth because you can smell my perfume and it's getting to you. That's not control. That's barely contained need. He caught her wrist before she could make contact. Stop. Make me. They stood frozen, his hand around her wrist, both breathing hard. Then he released her and stepped back. This is exactly why we need boundaries. This is exactly why boundaries don't work. She rubbed her wrist where his fingers had been, and watched his eyes track the movement. Denial just makes the tension worse. I don't want complications. Keep telling yourself that. Maybe one day it'll be true. He left for work without another word. Monica smiled, satisfied. She'd rattled him. The immovable Han Ji-woon had been shaken by a woman who simply refused to be ignored. Phase 2 began that evening. Monica discovered that sound carried perfectly through the penthouse's modern design. So she made sure to be on the phone with her friend back home, laughing loudly, talking about everything and nothing, being vibrant and alive in ways that demanded attention. "Oh, he's impossible," she told her friend, knowing Ji-woon could hear from his office. "Cold as ice, but I'm starting to see cracks. You know me? I never back down from a challenge." The crash from his office was immediate, something hitting the floor. She bit her lip to keep from laughing and continued her conversation, making every word a little louder, a little more animated. When she finally hung up, he was standing in the hallway looking murderous. What the hell was that? What was what? She stretched lazily on the couch. "That conversation. I was talking to my friend. Is that against your rules too? You were—" He stopped, jaw clenched so tight she worried he'd crack a tooth. "I was what?" She sat up, meeting his gaze. "Tell me what you thought I was doing. Playing games. Maybe I was just catching up with someone who actually wants to talk to me." She stood, moving past him. "Not everything is about you, Ji-woon. In my own house. Our house." She turned at her room's door. "And if you don't like the sounds of life happening around you, maybe you should try participating in it instead of hiding in your office." She closed the door on his stunned face. Subscribe now if you need to see how Monica completely unravels this man's perfect control, because we're just getting started and the tension is about to reach its breaking point. The second week brought required public appearances, including a charity gala hosted by allied families, where they had to play the loving couple for hundreds of watching eyes. "Hold my hand," Ji-woon ordered as they approached the entrance. "Ask nicely," she said. "We need to appear united," Ji-woon complained. "Then act like you actually like me." He took her hand with obvious reluctance, but Monica interlaced their fingers, stepping close enough that their bodies touched with each step. "You're doing this on purpose," he muttered through a practiced smile. "Doing what? Acting like your wife? That's literally why we're here." She was wearing a black dress designed to command attention, elegant, sophisticated, with a neckline that was perfectly appropriate but undeniably striking. Every eye in the room followed them. Ji-woon's hand tightened on hers. "You could have worn something less." "Less what? Beautiful? Confident? Appropriate for a woman married to Seoul's most powerful man." She smiled at another couple across the room. "I'm representing you, husband. Shouldn't I look good doing it?" "You look—" He stopped himself. "Yes? I look what? Like you're trying to start something." Kim Tae-jun, an associate from another family, approached them with obvious interest in Monica. "Ji-woon, you lucky man. Where have you been hiding this stunning woman?" "She hasn't been hidden," Ji-woon said coldly. "I would remember seeing her." Tae-jun took Monica's hand, kissing it while maintaining eye contact. "Would you honor me with a dance?" "She doesn't dance," Ji-woon said. "I love dancing," Monica corrected, enjoying the way Ji-woon's entire body went rigid. "I'd be delighted." Tae-jun led her to the floor, pulling her into a waltz that was entirely too familiar. His hand on her back, his body close, his attention completely focused on her. "Your husband seems tense," Tae-jun noted, glancing at where Ji-woon stood gripping a whiskey glass. "He's always tense. Perhaps he needs help relaxing. You must know ways. We're still newlyweds, figuring each other out. If you need any assistance figuring things out." His hand slipped lower on her back. Before Monica could respond, Ji-woon was there, removing Tae-jun's hand with enough force to make the man wince. "We're leaving. The party just started. Now." He guided her through the crowd with barely contained intensity. In the car, he sat in furious silence until Monica laughed. "What's so funny? You acting possessive when you won't even talk to me at home." "I'm not possessive. You nearly broke Tae-jun's wrist." He was being inappropriate. He was being interested. There's a difference. Not when it comes to you. What does that mean? Ji-woon turned to her, eyes dark with something she couldn't quite name. It means men don't just get interested in you. They get obsessed. They want to be near you, know you, claim your attention. And you know it. You use it. Like I'm using it on you? You can't use something on someone who's immune. You're not immune. You're in denial. I'm in control. For now. They rode in tense silence until Monica spoke again. Would it really be so bad? What? Caring about me, talking to me, actually being married for real. Yes. Why? Because once I let someone in, I can never let them go. The admission seemed to surprise him. With you, caring would never be casual. How do you know if you won't try? Because I know myself. I know what happens when I invest in something. His voice dropped. I become consumed by it. Maybe I want to be that important to someone. He looked at her then, really looked at her, and Monica felt heat race through her at the raw emotion in his eyes before he forced it down. No, you don't know what you're asking for. You don't get to tell me what I want. I'm protecting you. From yourself. From what I'd become if I let myself care. He said quietly. What would you become? He leaned closer, close enough that she could feel his breath. I'd be devoted to you in a way that might suffocate us both. I'd need to know where you are, who you're with, that you're safe every moment. I'd want to give you everything and demand everything in return. I'd become so focused on you that nothing else would matter. Monica's whole body responded to the intensity in his words. That sounds like love. He jerked back like she'd slapped him. We're done talking. We're just getting started. No, we're not. But that night, she heard him pacing in his room, heard him stop outside her door, heard him walk away only to return minutes later. And she smiled in the darkness, knowing that his perfect control was crumbling. Week 3 brought the turning point. Monica had started wearing one of Jiwoon's sweaters around the penthouse. She'd found it left in the laundry, and the way it engulfed her, smelled like him, felt like claiming something she had no right to claim. She wore it constantly, watching him slowly lose his composure. That's mine, he said one morning, voice strained. Want it back. She started to pull it over her head. Stop. Mixed signals, husband. But she stopped, adjusting it instead. You want your sweater but don't want me to take it off? I want you to wear your own clothes. But yours are so comfortable. And they smell like you. She lifted the collar to her nose, inhaling deeply, watching his hands clench. I sleep better surrounded by your scent. Monica. Yes. You're playing with fire. I'm playing with you. There's a difference. Not to me. She stood, moving toward him. Then stop me. How? Give me what I want. Which is? Your attention. Your time. You. You don't want me. You want to win. Can't I want both? He backed up until he hit the counter. This is a business arrangement. Business can become personal. Not this kind. Especially this kind. She pressed closer, not quite touching him but close enough that he could feel her warmth. We're supposed to be married. The families expect certain things. How long before they start asking questions about separate bedrooms? About the lack of connection? About the fact that you can barely look at me? I look at you. His voice was rough. When you think I'm not watching, I see you, Jiwoon, staring at me across the room, following me with your eyes. Stop. No. She placed her hands on the counter on either side of him, caging him in. I'm done pretending this is one-sided. You're affected by me just as much as I'm affected by you. Why fight it? Because if I start caring, I won't stop. Good. You don't understand. I don't do things halfway. It's nothing or everything, and with you... He stopped, breathing hard. With me. With you it would be everything. And everything would consume us both. Or complete us both. That's naive. That's hopeful. She was close enough to feel his heart racing. Who hurt you so badly that you're afraid to feel anything? No one hurt me. I hurt them. Everyone I've ever let close. It's what I do. Maybe you just hadn't met someone strong enough to handle you. You think you're strong enough? I know I am. Prove it. It was a challenge, and Monica never backed down from challenges. She kissed him, soft and slow, nothing like the desperate hunger she felt. Just a gentle press of lips, a question rather than a demand. He didn't respond at first, frozen like marble. Then his control cracked. His hand came up to cup her face, angling her head to deepen the kiss. His other hand gripped her waist, pulling her against him. For 30 seconds, he kissed her like she was air and he was drowning. Then he pushed her back gently, both of them gasping. No. Yes. This doesn't change anything. It changes everything. He left for work without another word, but Monica could still taste him. Victory and longing mixed on her tongue. That evening he didn't come home. Or the next evening. On the third night, Monica was furious. She'd finally broken through his walls and he'd run. Typical man, no matter how dangerous he pretended to be. She was pacing the penthouse wearing his sweater when the door opened. Ji-woon stood there, looking wrecked. Tie loose, hair disheveled, shadows under his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. Where have you been? Working. For 3 days straight? I needed space. From me. From this. He gestured between them. From whatever this is becoming. It's becoming what it was always going to become. No. Yes. She moved toward him. You can run, but you can't escape this. We live together. We're married. And whether you admit it or not, you care about me. Caring isn't enough. It's a start. It's an ending. Caring leads to needing. Needing leads to obsession. Obsession leads to destruction. Or it leads to love. I don't do love. Neither did I. She was close enough to smell whiskey on his breath. But here we are. Here we are what? Falling apart. Coming together. Whatever you want to call this dance we're doing. We're not dancing. We're fighting. Same thing with us. He laughed, dark and bitter. You really think you know me? I think I see you. The real you under all that control. And what do you see? A man who's terrified of feeling anything because he thinks it makes him weak. But you're wrong. Feeling everything and still functioning? That's strength. That's insanity. Then we're both insane. She reached for him, but he caught her hands. Don't. Why? Because I'm hanging on by a thread. And if you touch me, it snaps. Let it snap. You don't know what you're asking. I'm asking you to be human. To stop pretending you're made of stone when I can see you shaking. I'm not shaking. She looked pointedly at his hands, trembling where they held hers. Liar. He released her, stepping back. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need protection. I need you. You need to stop. Make me. Monica. No. I'm done with this. Either you care about me or you don't. Either we do this or we don't. But I'm not spending months in limbo while you figure out if you're allowed to feel something. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. She stepped back, arms spread. Choose. His control shattered visibly. She could see the exact moment his walls came down. His expression shifting from guarded to open, from protected to vulnerable. I'm terrified, he breathed. Of me. Of losing you. Of hurting you. Of everything. She crossed the space between them, taking his face in her hands. Then stop running and let me show you that we can figure this out together. When he kissed her this time, it was different. Not desperate but deliberate. Not claiming but connecting. Like he was finally letting himself feel what he'd been fighting for weeks. I tried. he said against her mouth. I tried to stay away. I know, she replied. I can't anymore, he whispered. I know. This is going to change everything. Everything was already changing. They stood there, foreheads touching, breathing each other in. If we do this, he started. When we do this, we do it right. No more running. No more hiding. No more pretending we don't care. Agreed. He kissed her again, slower this time, savoring the connection. When they finally pulled apart, his eyes were clearer than she'd ever seen them. I choose you, he said quietly. I choose this. Finally, she smiled, threading her fingers through his hair. Welcome to the fight, husband. This isn't a fight anymore. No, she raised an eyebrow. What is it then? A partnership. He pulled her closer. A real one. I like the sound of that. He lifted her, carrying her toward his bedroom, their bedroom now. Then let me show you what a real partnership looks like. That night, they finally stopped fighting and started building. Every conversation was real, every touch intentional, every moment a choice they made together. Ji-woon let his walls down completely, and Monica discovered that the man behind the mask was worth every bit of the battle it took to reach him. When morning came, she woke in his arms, his face peaceful in sleep for the first time since she'd known him. She traced his features with gentle fingers, marveling at how different he looked without the tension. You're staring, he mumbled without opening his eyes. You're beautiful when you're not scowling. I don't scowl. You absolutely scowl. She kissed his forehead. It's cute. I am not cute. You're adorable when you're trying to be intimidating. He opened his eyes, pulling her on top of him. I'll show you intimidating. Promises, promises. He kissed her thoroughly, and Monica felt like she'd finally come home. The next few weeks transformed their arrangement into something neither had anticipated. Ji-woon moved her things into his room without asking, and she found herself sleeping better than she had in years. They talked for hours about everything and nothing, discovering shared interests and compatible values beneath all the tension. He was still protective to the point of overboard, but Monica pushed back when he went too far and he actually listened. She was still provocative and challenging, but he met her energy with his own, and they found a rhythm that worked. The families noticed the change immediately. At the next gathering, they arrived together, Ji-woon's hand resting naturally on Monica's lower back, her fingers intertwined with his. Finally stopped pretending? Taejun asked, a knowing smirk on his face. Careful, Ji-woon warned, but his tone was lighter than before. Just because I'm happy doesn't mean I won't still break your hands for touching my wife. Possessive as ever. My possessive husband, Monica corrected, kissing Ji-woon's jaw affectionately. Get a room, Jisoo laughed, approaching with drinks. We have one. Several, actually. Monica replied with a wink that made Ji-woon pull her closer. You're impossible, he murmured in her ear. You love it, she said. I love you, Ji-woon said, rubbing her hands. Say it again. I love you, Monica Adeyemi-han. When did I take your name? The moment you became mine. So presumptuous. So accurate. They left the party early, unable to stop touching each other, unable to stop talking, unable to get enough of this new reality they'd created together. In the car, Monica curled against his side, feeling his arm wrap around her. Regrets? He asked quietly. None. You? Only that I wasted so much time fighting this. We needed the fight, she said. It's what makes us work. We'll always fight. Good. I'd be bored otherwise. He laughed, the sound still surprising and precious. You're never going to let me be boring, are you? Never. 3 months later, they renewed their vows. A real wedding this time, with actual promises and a kiss at the altar that went on long enough that guests started cheering. "I promise to challenge you every day," Monica said in her vows. "I promise to rise to meet you," Ji-woon replied. "I promise to break every stupid rule you make. I promise to make new ones just to watch you break them. I promise to love you even when you're being impossibly overprotective. I promise to be overprotective because I love you." The officiant looked charmed and pronounced them husband and wife, again with genuine warmth. That night, in their penthouse, Monica stood at the window watching Seoul's lights spread out beneath them like a carpet of stars. "Happy?" Ji-woon asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "Beyond words. Even though I'm difficult? Especially because you're difficult." She turned in his arms. "Easy is boring. We'll never be boring. Promise. I promise to keep you on your toes for the rest of our lives. I promise to keep you on yours." He kissed her slow and deep. "I love you, Mrs. Han. I love you too, Mr. Han. Show me. Always." She pulled him toward their bedroom. "I will always show you." As the door closed behind them, the sounds of laughter and murmured conversation left no doubt. Han Ji-woon, Seoul's most controlled man, had finally learned to let go. And Monica Adeyemi Han had conquered the unconquerable, not through games or manipulation, but through persistence and genuine connection. They were enemies who became partners, strangers who became soulmates, a contract that became real love. And every night, when he held her close and whispered how she'd changed his entire life, Monica would smile and whisper back, "Good, you changed mine too." Because some contracts were meant to be broken, and some walls were meant to come down, completely, mutually, beautifully. If you made it to the end of Monica and Ji-woon's story, you're a true romantic at heart. Subscribe now for more stories of enemies becoming lovers, contracts becoming real, and tension too powerful to deny. Comment below what you loved most: Monica's relentless determination or Ji-woon slowly learning to feel again. And tell us, could you handle a protective, possessive husband learning to love? Or would you run for the hills? Until next time, remember, sometimes the best love stories start with, "I'd rather die than care about you," and end with, "I can't live without you." See you in the next story.